Jay-Z and Diddy and a teenager, 13-year-old teenager.
Right.
What did you feel about just that whole thing, man?
As much as people feel like I haven't had issues with Puffy. I don't like him like that. Like, I don't like things that he would do, but Jay definitely not that.
So, 50 Cent is back again. And this time, he's lighting up the industry in a way that's hard to ignore. It's not just about Diddy anymore. It's not just memes and one-liners for clicks. It's deeper. It's calculated.
A full week since the shocking new sexual assault allegations against Jay-Z have come out, and already we are seeing quite the reaction from some pretty high-profile people. Let's see what some celebrities had to say about Sean Carter's legal development and bombshell claims against Jay-Z. Sean Carter, in that federal sexual assault lawsuit, an unnamed Jane Doe is accusing the rapper and business mogul of raping her at a VMA's after party back in 2000 when she was just 13 years old, a party thrown by none other than Sean Diddy Combs, who she says also sexually assaulted her that night. In fact, she claims in her amended complaint, which now lists Jay-Z as the defendant, when it was first filed in October, by the way, he was only labeled as Celebrity A, but now he's been identified as Sean Carter, Jay-Z. But in the complaint, it states, Combs then threw plaintiff toward a wall, causing plaintiff to fall. Plaintiff got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her again and threw her on the bed. At that point, Carter began removing plaintiff's clothes as she grew more and more disoriented. The complaint says that Jay-Z then raped this teenager, and then Diddy proceeded to rape her as well. And by the way, this allegedly was in a bedroom while an unnamed female celebrity watched the assault. And this Jane Doe has sued both men for this alleged assault under the Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act, which provides a look-back window to sue for claims that would otherwise be too old, barred by a statute of limitations issue. It just has to be a violent act that was motivated by someone's gender. So here the idea is that she was an underage girl, she couldn't consent. And remember, this all comes as Sean Combs is sitting in the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center, on federal sex crimes charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. That he operated a criminal enterprise that engaged in a campaign of abusing women and using illegal methods to coerce people to engage in prolonged sex performances with male sex workers. It wasn't just us reacting to this Jay-Z news, no. Celebrities have been reacting to it as well. And I think a good place to start would be with rapper 50 Cent. Why? Why him? Because he has already been quite vocal during the Sean Combs legal saga. For instance, after the raids by federal agents on Combs' properties months ago, before his arrest, 50 Cent posted on Instagram, "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." And he has posted several memes mocking Combs' legal troubles. He also shared a video from someone on social media that called Combs too freaky for society. And when Combs was officially arrested, he took to Instagram. He posted a picture of him and Drew Barrymore and wrote, "Here I am, keeping good company with @the Drew Barrymore Show, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house." Obviously a reference to the amount of lubricant and baby oil that prosecutors revealed were recovered from Sean Combs' properties. And in fact, I should also tell you that 50 Cent is reportedly working on a Netflix documentary about Combs' legal troubles. But when it comes to Jay-Z, what did he say? He said a few things, or he did a few things. So first, I should tell you that there doesn't appear to be any love loss between the two of them, because back in the day, the two had a beef, at least through lyrics against one.
And it's pulling in people who, up until now, have been seen as untouchable. One of those names, Jay-Z. Now, let's be clear. 50's been throwing jabs at Diddy for years. This is nothing new on the surface, but something feels different this time. The tone, the focus, the consistency that he's not just taking shots to entertain his followers. He's laying out a pattern, dropping hints, and it feels like he's deliberately pointing the spotlight towards something darker. Something that's been whispered about behind closed doors for years, but never really brought into the mainstream. And when he starts to pull Jay-Z into that narrative, it changes everything that Jay-Z has always been careful, strategic. He doesn't get involved in industry mess. He doesn't respond to drama. He lets the music, the business deals, the billion-dollar empire speak for itself. And that's why 50's approach is so interesting, because he knows Jay won't clap back. He knows Jay plays chess, not checkers.
50 Cent released the song How to Rob, in which he seems to suggest robbing Jay-Z. And Jay-Z put out a song called It's Hot, Some Like It Hot, in which he rapped, I'm about $1, what the F is 50 Cent? Now, although they had performed together in the past, maybe patched things up or looked like things were okay, doesn't really look like they're besties, because I mean in 2011, 50 told MTV News, we don't have those kinds of relationships. These people are people I associate with. We're in the same business. We're not necessarily friends. We don't call each other for no reason. And I should tell you, if you had any doubt about their friendship, well, what did 50 Cent do just in the wake of this Jay-Z lawsuit? Well, he posted on Instagram a meme of him in a car with the caption, okay, I don't know what's going on, but are we going to still have the Super Bowl? Worried emoji? I'm just asking for a friend. That, of course, is in reference to the fact that for the last few years, Jay-Z and his company Roc Nation helped to produce the Super Bowl halftime show. But he really wasn't done there, because you know how right after the lawsuit was filed, I mean less than 24 hours, Jay-Z, his wife Beyonce, their 12-year-old daughter Blue Ivy, and Beyonce's mom Tina Knowles attended the LA premiere of Mufasa, the Lion King. This is what we talked about in a previous sidebar. But now, in a deleted post on Instagram, 50 Cent wrote, Jay said they said I raped a kid. Everybody get dressed. We're going to see Mufasa. Seemingly poking fun at him for going to a movie premiere in the wake of these brand new allegations. Now, to be clear, Beyonce and Blue Ivy both star in that movie. I don't think that they could have avoided the premiere, but maybe some would say you shouldn't have showed up. I don't know. But anyway, I will tell you, I interviewed body language expert Susan Constantine about how Jay-Z appeared at that premiere and whether it told us anything based on his body language. Take a look.
When I look at Jay-Z, you can see his lips pursed. That is a form of agitation. So when we look at that, when people purse or tighten their lips, it tells you a little bit about their cognitions, maybe that he's not really enjoying this as much as he's portraying when he was walking on. And what I'm looking for is a cluster. I see a horizontal stressor right across his forehead, and then he has his hand in his pocket. So we've got three things, which is a cluster. You would think that Jay-Z would have incorporated Beyonce into the mix by putting his arm around Beyonce's waist. We didn't see that here. So that's why I'm saying there's almost like a separation, two different frames. Beyonce, of course, alliances are with her daughter. You can see her leaning her head towards her daughter. Her daughter is out up front, is almost in a princess type of positioning. So overall, when I'm looking at this, the mannequin type of stance that Tina has, the agitation that Jay-Z is concealing. So what I mean by that, it's not an outward or expression. It's actually micro expressions of showing you what some of cognition might be.
But going back to 50 Cent for a second, you know what else he apparently did? Because it didn't end there. He apparently posts an AI-generated video of Jay-Z and Sean Combs in tuxedos getting arrested by police with the caption, I want to post this, but I'm afraid I'm going to get shot. LOL, laughing emoji. Now, one other thing I have to mention about 50 Cent before we go to other celebrities. So he sat down for an interview with...
But what happens when someone like 50, who's not afraid of anyone, who thrives in controversy, decides to use that silence against you? Over the last few weeks, 50 has been using his platform to push a narrative. He's been talking about these so-called industry parties, not just regular industry events. These are the ones whispered about in blogs and private group chats. The ones with stories that sound too wild to be true until enough people say them, and you start to wonder that you've got stories about power moves, blackmail, strange, initiation-like rituals, and parties that go from glamorous to grotesque behind closed doors. And right in the center of that storm is Diddy. Now again, these are allegations. Nothing has been proven in court. But when so many voices, former friends, bodyguards, artists, start talking, even if they don't give all the details, the noise becomes impossible to ignore.
A lot of this. He said, I haven't had issues with Puff where I don't like him. I don't like things that he would do that make me uncomfortable. And in terms of Jay-Z, he said, I just hope things are all right for him internally. I mean at the crib. because in the statement they mentioned his daughter being old enough to, because she about 13, so it's the same age as these kids they saying he did something to. And he also said the damage is already done by the allegation itself. And he even claimed that the NFL, regarding the Super Bowl show, quote, will fall back in light of this lawsuit, and they won't necessarily be associated to that, meaning the NFL, they won't necessarily stick with Jay-Z. Now, in terms of what he said about Jay-Z's home life, he seems to be referencing Jay-Z's statement that was put out after the filing of this complaint. And the statement accused Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, of trying to blackmail him to settle the case before filing what he claims are false allegations. And he said the following: "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit." So that was basically what 50 Cent had to say so far. But going back to Tina Knowles, remember I mentioned her, I want to talk about her for a second and talk about her, I don't want to say reaction to Jay-Z's lawsuit, because as you'll see, she says this really wasn't her, but something very curious happened. There were reports that Tina Knowles liked an ABC7 Chicago Instagram post about the lawsuit, with the caption reading, "Sean Jay-Z Carter and Sean Diddy Combs are accused of raping a then 13-year-old girl at an after-party following the 2000 Video Music Awards," according to an amended civil lawsuit that was filed Sunday. So, did she really like that? Well, she says no. In an Instagram post, she denied liking the post, claiming her account was hacked, writing, "As you all know, I do not play about my family. So if you see something uncharacteristic of me, just know that it is not me. And please stop playing with me. No weapon formed against my family shall prosper." And of course, as I mentioned, she attended the Mufasa premiere with Jay-Z and the family and looked in good spirits. So maybe that reaction wasn't really a reaction. But I will tell you who did react: Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. So let me set the stage for this one. So we go to the December 10th broadcast of Inside the NBA on TNT. And there is a discussion among the group of Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson, Shaq, and Barkley about who could face off against commentator Stephen A. Smith on the basketball court. So at one point, Charles Barkley says to Smith, "You said the man isn't on your level. Stephen A. played college basketball." Now Smith defends himself, says that he's a champ, and then he says to Shaq, "Listen, man, do you think Jay-Z or..." And he starts to trail off. And before he can finish his thought, Barkley jumps in and goes, "Probably not a good time right now." All the panelists start laughing. The crew in the background starts laughing. Smith jokes and says, you're silly, man, while shaking his head. And then Shaq gets up, walks off stage, and hides behind a pillar in a joking fashion as Ernie Johnson says, "Go and see if you can fix the wall, will you?"
And here comes 50, fanning the flames. But he doesn't just fan them, he directs them. He names names, directly or indirectly, and then lets the public connect the dots. When he posts something that implies Jay-Z might have been around during these parties, might have known what was going on, or might have even participated at some level, it hits differently because unlike Diddy, Jay-Z doesn't have a long list of public beefs. He's respected. He's seen as one of the grown-ups in the room. And now 50 is threatening that entire image.so. What's the motivation? Is it personal? Is it about business? Or is 50 trying to burn the whole house down? Some people say it goes back decades, that 50 had issues with the so-called gatekeepers of the industry since day one. That when he came up, he was forced to play a certain game, and he never liked it. He never trusted it. So now, when he sees cracks in the foundation, scandals, lawsuits, federal investigations, he sees an opportunity to say, "I told you so," to finally air out what he believes has been hidden for too long, and he's smart about it. He doesn't make direct accusations. He uses implication. He leans on suggestion. He posts old photos, leaves cryptic captions, and walks away. But his audience, they know exactly what he's doing. They pick it up and run with it. Suddenly, you've got forums filled with theories, podcasts doing deep dives, people pulling up footage from the early 2000s, trying to match timelines, trying to decode old lyrics, old interviews, body language. It becomes a game of digital archaeology.